Happening live now, the Ortega family in dinner with the Spanish royal family, King Felipe, Princess Leonor. They say royal dinners are formal, predictable, perfect. But tonight, something feels different. The Ortega family, ordinary by name, extraordinary by circumstance, have just stepped into the marble glow of Zarzuela Palace. And no one expected them to be there. Not even the king himself. The chandeliers hum above polished silver. Servants move silently. The scent of roasted lamb, rosemary, and quiet tension fills the air. King Felipe sits at the head of the long oak table, his posture regal but his eyes observant. Beside him, Queen Letizia, calm, elegant, every movement controlled. And just across from her, Princess Leonor, Spain's future queen, her face half lit, half lost in thought. The cameras outside can't see what's unfolding inside these walls. The moment the Ortega family entered, every heartbeat changed rhythm. Why them? Why now? It started with a quiet invitation. A letter, sealed with the royal crest, delivered without explanation. The Ortegas, an influential business family from Asturias, known for their philanthropy, not their politics, were told only this: dinner at Zarzuela. Formal attire. No agenda. No reason. But everyone in Madrid whispered the same question: is this about Leonor? As the first course arrives, conversation flickers. King Felipe speaks with warmth, his tone soft, deliberate. He asks about the Ortega Foundation's work with youth programs. The father, Javier Ortega, responds with practiced humility, but his wife, Maria, glances toward Princess Leonor with something unreadable in her eyes. A knowing look, as if they share a secret neither dares to name. Leonor smiles politely, but there's a tremor in her fingers as she lifts her glass. She's 19 now, poised between freedom and destiny. Every public move measured, every private moment guarded. And tonight, under the golden light of her family's legacy, she is watched. Yet her gaze keeps drifting, to the youngest Ortega, Alejandro. 22. Quiet, well-mannered. The kind of young man who seems untouched by fame. Their eyes meet. Briefly. The kind of moment too small to notice, unless you're the queen. Queen Letizia notices everything. She's the master of silent observation. Her glance is enough to remind Leonor of what's at stake: image, duty, the crown itself. But still, Leonor can't help it. There's curiosity in her eyes. Maybe even defiance. As the second course is served, sea bass with citrus and olive oil, the tone shifts. King Felipe leans in, speaking not as a monarch but as a father. He tells a story, about his first dinner as prince, long before the cameras, long before Letizia. He speaks of the fear of being misunderstood. The weight of living for a nation. Leonor listens. Her lips pressed together, holding questions she cannot ask. Questions like, did you ever wish you could choose your own path? Across the table, Alejandro Ortega's eyes never leave hers. He's intrigued, not by the crown, but by the person beneath it. He watches the way she hides emotion behind perfect manners, how she nods at the right moments, smiles when expected. And when dessert arrives, almond tarts with caramel drizzle, he leans forward slightly, just enough to say, softly, does it ever get easier? A dangerous question, too honest for the room. For a second, time freezes. Leonor's fork pauses midair. Her mother's gaze sharpens. The king's expression is unreadable. But then Leonor answers, not as a princess, but as a girl. It depends what you're willing to lose. The table falls silent. Even the clinking of cutlery stops. It's the kind of answer that hangs in the air, fragile and unforgettable. The queen exhales slowly. The king nods, almost imperceptibly. And in that moment, a bridge is built, between duty and truth, between crown and heart. The conversation shifts to lighter things: music, travel, art. But beneath it all, something lingers. A possibility. The Ortegas weren't invited for business or ceremony. They were invited for connection. Perhaps to remind the royal family what real life feels like. Perhaps to test Leonor's heart. When the dinner ends, King Felipe stands. He thanks the Ortegas for their presence, his words formal yet sincere. Maria Ortega curtsies gracefully, but before she leaves, she whispers to Queen Letizia, Your daughter is remarkable. Guard her well. Letizia smiles, a mother's pride mixed with unease. She knows what the world expects of Leonor, strength without softness, grace without flaw. But tonight, she saw something else, a young woman awakening to her own truth. As the palace doors close behind the Ortega family, Leonor walks to the balcony. Madrid glows beneath her, golden and infinite. The crown feels heavy, but her heart feels alive. Somewhere in the distance, she hears laughter, the Ortegas leaving in the cool night air. She smiles faintly, whispering to herself, "It doesn't always have to be a fairy tale." Behind her, the king joins her at the railing. He doesn't speak for a long time. Then, quietly, "Leonor, one day you'll understand. The crown isn't a prison. It's a mirror." She nods, not entirely believing him, not yet. But for the first time, she feels the reflection shift. Love and duty, colliding under the Spanish stars. A story still unfolding, one dinner, one glance, one heartbeat at a time. And though the cameras outside will never capture it, history will remember this night. The dinner where royalty met reality. Where the future Queen of Spain stopped being a symbol and started becoming human.